Okay, good morning, everybody. I'd like to call the July 13th, 2021 Finance Meeting to order. Pursuant to the Illinois Attorney General's Act guidance, public bodies on the Open Meetings Act during COVID pandemic dated July 2nd, 2020, county board members may participate without being physically present in compliance with the established provisions. So we do have a physical quorum. So I would like to entertain a motion to allow those that are not physically present to attend the meeting.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Member Garcia, second by Member Krajewski. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, great, thank you. Can we have a roll call, please?
Member Chaplin,
Here.
Member Chavez, Member Covert, Member Dessart, Member DeCiani, Member Eckhoff, Member Garcia, Member Hart, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante, Member Ozog, Member Pachalski, Member Renahan, Member Rutledge, Member Schwarzy,
Here.
Member Selman,
Here.
Member Tornatori, Member Zay.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Thank you. So I am advised that we do have two public comments. One we have in person. Mr. David Clark, if you'd like to come forward.
Members of the board, it's my first time here, so I apologize if I'm a little nervous. I wanted to come and talk to you today about something that's extremely important that's going to be affecting the whole county, and that is evictions. The governor is ready to lift that moratorium, I believe, on August 21st. And for those of you who were around in 2007 during the mortgage crisis, and I've been attorney here 29 years, I was out here, it was a nightmare. For 2 years, Robert Gibson plowed through that foreclosure call of hundreds of people daily. And that's banks versus homeowners. What we're now going to see is a tidal wave of evictions affecting every single county in DuPage, every single city, rather, in DuPage County. And there's 2 judges that the courts have set aside specifically for evictions. I'm here because I'm a volunteer. Okay, I'm an attorney. I have a private practice in Wheaton. And I did open up a legal aid clinic at the courthouse on the 2nd floor. The Bar Association thought that was important. I too felt it was important to be able to help pro se tenants, which, trust me, make up about 40% or more of those who are about to be evicted. And so this is something that I believe that the county is going to be facing an extreme shortage of social services if we don't get some help. And what kind of help am I talking about? We had planned for the last year and a half. Unlike the mortgage foreclosure crisis, this didn't sneak up on us. We had the moratorium. We had a year and a half, and I say we, I mean the committee, judges from the 18th Judicial Circuit. We sat down and said, what are we going to do when these courts reopen? And we have a strategic plan. And in essence, it's a mediation service, okay? And up until last week, we thought, the courts, that they were gonna have a professional mediators come in. That fell through, okay? That's why I'm here. I want you to know that if there's anything that the county can do in terms of funding, we need desperately, minimally, an administrator that works under the chief judge to do what? To schedule all these mediations. We already have the courts, and remember, 2 courtrooms going just for evictions. We have 60 that are just set per day. And, you know, we're talking hundreds and thousands of people are going to be affected for at least a year or more. And so I'm happy to volunteer my time as I have for the last 20 years. We do have a core group of volunteers, but if there's anything the county could do in terms of the program, I think Judge Popejoy might speak to a little bit later. On behalf of the volunteers and the Page County Bar Association, we would really help. We really appreciate your help. That's all I have to say.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming in your public comment. Thank you. And then Dana, I understand we have another public comment.
Yes, ma'am. Public comment from Edgar Pale, subject public comment rules. I am writing to comment on Resolution FIR 034621, which is a resolution concerning electronic public comment to the county board and committees. I am curious as to why this resolution is being presented to the Finance Committee, when it is unclear how this matter is relevant to finance, and there is already another committee that is quite capable of addressing this question. Since January of this year, the ad hoc committee to review county board rules has conducted a thorough, thoughtful review of all of the rules, including the rules for public comment. I urge you to consider referring this resolution to the Rules Committee, which would be the more appropriate committee to discuss this matter. The Rules Committee has already expressed, as early as February, its desire to continue to allow written public comment even after the return to in-person meetings. I'm glad to see that the proposed resolution supports the continuation of written public comment. However, the Rules Committee has also expressed its desire to ensure that the written comments continue to be read aloud during the meeting, subject to reasonable time limitations. This ensures that written comments and in-person comments will be equally heard. It is unclear whether the proposed resolution, as it's currently written, is consistent with what the Rules Committee has previously discussed. As you very well know, the county board and its committees meet for several hours during the working day, and it has required sacrifice and flexibility on your part to be able to attend these meetings. Unfortunately, that also means that only a limited cross-section of the public can attend your meetings in person. During the pandemic, we learned that everyone can have a meaningful opportunity to participate electronically, and I hope you found that this has enabled you to hear from a broader group of constituents. The Rules Committee has been very supportive of remote participation thus far, and I urge that the rest of the board continue to support this going forward. End of public comment.
Thank you so much, Dana. Appreciate that comment. My chair remarks. I'm going to be very brief because we have a full agenda, but thank you all for attending this morning. I'm very happy to welcome Member Selman back. It's great to have her back with us, so welcome. Secondly, we are currently at 4,600 budget survey responses received. We generally keep the survey open just past Labor Day, but I was thinking of closing it on around September 3rd. But if you have any ideas, if you want to keep it through Labor Day, or if you think we should maybe close it a little bit earlier so we can get those comments back to the board when we're making our decisions, just send an email to Joan or myself. That would be great. And I did speak with two members of the public who shared their concerns about the budget survey and how we can improve that survey going forward. So I do appreciate those comments that I had with the public. And as a reminder, we do have a special call at 2:00 this afternoon. So I hope we'll see you all there. And with that, I would like to entertain a motion to approve the finance meetings of June 22nd. Okay, we have a motion by Member Krajewski, a second by Member Wachowski. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries. Next, I will entertain a motion on budget transfers resolution FIR 034521. We have a motion by Member Krajewski, a second by Member Desart. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Moving on to procurements. Member LaPlante, Ad hoc Fine Arts Committee.
Second, if somebody had.
So we need a, okay, Krajewski's first, second DeCiani. Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? I'm voting a nay. Or do you want to do a roll call? Roll call, please. Yeah.
Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante. Member Ozog.
No.
Member Pachowski. Member Renahan. Member Rutledge. Member Schwarzy. Member Selman.
Aye.
Member Tornatori. Member Zay. Member Chaplin.
No.
Member Chavez.
Aye.
Member Covert. Member Desart. Member DeCiani.
Aye.
Member Eckhoff. Member Garcia.
Aye.
And Member Hart. 4 nay. Motion carries.
To Health and Human Services, Member Renahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of HHSP 31921, contract with Jones Healthcare for rental of a dolphin fluid immersion mattress at August 9th, 2021, August 8th, 2022, not to exceed 30,000.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion by Member Renahan, second by Member Krajewski. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Member Renahan.
Thank you. I move approval of HHSP 31821, contract with DuPage Federation of Human Services for interpretive services, primarily for senior services, August 13th, 2021 through August 12th, 2022, not to exceed 45,000.
Second.
We have a motion by Member Renahan, a second by Member Schwarzy. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. And we move on to item C, Judicial Public Safety. Member Renahan.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of JPSR 30521, resolution Village of Wayne for police services with the sheriff.
We have a motion by Member Renahan, a second by Member Zay. Any discussion? Oh, Member Desart?
I'm sorry, we can't hear Member Desart.
No.
There you go.
All right. As I said in committee, I just wanted to reiterate here that moving forward as we get into these IGAs, I think we should also include a vehicle for the sheriff's office to be compensated for any court time any of these calls may contribute to. So, I mean, I know these officers take a couple of hours or even a half a day when they have to go to court to testify. And I think the sheriff's office should be compensated moving forward.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Thank you so much. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Member Renahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of JPSR 33121 with preferred health system agreement to DuPage County and Northwestern Memorial Healthcare for the sheriff's inmate medical services, August 1st, 2021 through July 31st, 2024.
Here we have a motion by Member Renahan, a second by Member Garcia. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, Member Renahan.
I move approval of JPSP 30921 with the Circuit Court and Penny Canova, Coordinating Council Coordinator for Administrative Assistance, July 19th, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, not to exceed $32,025.
We have a motion by Member Renahan, a second by Member Desart. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
All right,
the motion carries. Thank you, Member Renahan.
Thank you. I move approval of JPSP 30621 with Ray O'Haron Co. for firearm ammunition for the Sheriff's Office, July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, not to exceed 150,000.
We have a motion by Member Renahan, a second by Member Zay. Any discussion? Oh, Member Krajewski.
Just quick wise, and this contract started a couple weeks ago, and I know it's the sheriff's fault, procurement, finance, whatever it is, but you know, these things we should have a system that these things come a month or so before they come due, and this is just an ammunition purchase, so I assume it's not something new. It's out of the blue, so I just, again, maybe they give, every time they give us one that's after the fact, that there should be a write-up on why it happened. I mean, I just don't understand these contracts that, I don't know if we bought ammunition already prior to July 1st, but
Yep.
thank you.
No, thanks. Those are good comments and suggestions. I think we need to discuss that further. Yes, Member Desart.
Thank you, Paula. You're going to do this real day. The question, if there's anybody here from the sheriff's office, and that is, do we buy the ammunition for the sheriff's office in bulk? Or I don't know how it's purchased, because when we look at the pay list, there's like 2 pages of Ray O'Haron showing that I don't know why it's not just one item on the pay list. Why it's like 2 pages.
I can answer it as you like to hear it. I know that we do our annual budget for it. Under Sheriff Moore could not be here this morning. I came for the Wayne question, so I'm not prepared to answer the question you have right now. I was here to answer any questions that I have.
There isn't one line item on it, and why there's like 2 pages of it. You and I spoke about that once too.
Actually talked to Eddie Moore on this one. On the pay list, the Ray O'Haron that you see, the individual ones, when they outfit an officer, those are individual officers as they outfit. And then they do buy their ammunition in bulk. That's what you're seeing there. So when you see all the individuals, that's like individual officers outfitting them for what they need.
Uniforms?
Yes.
Okay, all right. It's a totally different thing then. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you so much, Nick. Member Zay?
That's correct.
So my question was, we have multiple contracts with Ray O'Hearn. So
That's
just not
correct.
for ammunition, for vests, for uniforms.
Correct.
Not everybody has.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Member Renahan?
Can't hear Member Renahan.
Start that one over. Move approval of JPSP 6-21 contract with Dr. Elizabeth Donegan to provide evaluation of offenders referred by the court for the probation and court services, August 19th, 2021 through August 18th, 2022, not to exceed 50,000.
Okay, we have a motion by Member Renahan, a second by Member Desart. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Member Renahan.
I move approval of JPS CO 497-2021, amendment to resolution JPSP 212-20, level 3 financing for telecommunications cloud backup October 1st, 2020 through September 30, 2024, increasing amount by $54,690.72.
We have a motion by Member Renahan, a second by Member Desart. Member Pachowski.
You know, I always like these contracts where we have a contract with somebody and then it's unanticipated surcharges and fees. Well, I think they would be anticipated. And if a contract is a contract, you know, I hate seeing this stuff. So I don't know how with telecommunications, surcharges and fees aren't anticipated, but why are they not held to the contract that they initially had with us? And why are we paying additional $54,000 when, to my opinion, any surcharge and fee would have been anticipated, in my opinion, unless the contract specifically says that we could do this, because we do this all the time. Okay, not a problem. Give you some more money. I'm going to vote no, because I think these contracts should mean something. And to me, in this field, surcharges and fees are anticipated. So I don't know if there's an emergency situation, but I don't feel comfortable voting for this.
Do we have? Yeah, Clerk Adams, are you there to answer the question? Is anybody from the circuit clerk available?
Hi, I'm here. So on these contracts, we did send this out to bid, and other contracts came in also without the surcharges on them as well. This is still the lowest competitive bid based on these surcharges as well. And this dollar amount is over a 4-year period. This relates to our disaster recovery program, and it's definitely a product or a contract that we need to approve to maintain our disaster recovery for the office here in the court system here.
I'm not saying it's not necessary. I'm saying I don't like the increase. So to me, I'm going to vote no, because I think surcharge and fees are part of the contract.
The other contracts, I will tell you, did not include the surcharges as well for when they were sent out to bid.
Member Ozark, did you have a question? Okay, Member Krajewski, do you have a question?
Well, yeah, I don't think that answered Don's question. These should have been anticipated in the contract. This is, still don't understand the answer.
If there are others are speaking, I can't really hear that. So
Go ahead, Clerk Adams.
I mean, was there a contract before this October 1st one of 2020? Did we have one prior with these guys?
We did, and I also have Kevin Vasky on the call too, so if he can be unmuted as well, so he can answer some of this as well. But this again was sent out to bid, and even with the increase in this $54,000 over 4 years from the surcharges, this still makes the contract with the lowest competitive bid for our disaster recovery program.
But it's 54,000 over what the contract is. That's my concern. There should not be a $54,000 increase. It should have been anticipated. So can we have somebody look at this by county board? Because I'm going to vote no, only because I think the contract means something. And I think it was anticipated in telecommunications that we pay these. I just think we do this, we just too often, nobody comes in and wants more money and we just say, okay, and it's not okay.
If I might ask a question, Clerk Adams or somebody in IT, is it normal that surcharges are not included in the contract and they're added on? Is that how that works normally, or?
I can speak to that. Yes,
Okay.
it is normal that we have AT&T contracts all the time, and taxes and surcharges aren't normally in the contract. And then they're added additionally after the contract.
Every language in a contract that says surcharges are not in this contract, but we are agreeing to pay surcharges at a later date.
I don't know that it says that in the contract. When we ask for, and Kevin Vasky can speak to that because I don't know what the contract there says, but in our contracts, we ask for additional surcharges and fees, and it just says as required. Because we don't always know what the federal surcharges are, the 911 charges.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Member Tornatori, then Member Krajewski, then Member Salmon. Okay, Member Tornatori, please.
I guess I have a question, Wendy. Are these the surcharges that we would normally see on our bills, our telephone bills? Or
Yes, we see them every month on our telephone.
Okay, so I think the issue here is that when, just like when we get our cell phone bills, we have a basic bill and then there's surcharges, taxes, et cetera. Just like when you go rent the hotel room, they give you a rate and then there's a city tax, a county tax, all the other things. It's a basic rate. It would be nice if we had it all encompassed and we knew what we were paying at the beginning of the contract, but apparently we don't, or the provider doesn't know what they are.
Correct.
At the time we sign the contract, therefore that's what we have to do. So I think that's the reason for the surcharges, if I'm not mistaken, Wendy.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Member Krajewski?
Yeah, but the AT&T surcharges they put on, they're not the magnitude of 25% of the contract.
Not normally, no.
Yeah, they're not probably even 1% of the contract. I mean, you see, I mean, those are surcharges, but they're minimal to that. I mean, this is 25% of the contract. You see it?
Not normal.
20%.
Member Salmon, please. Go ahead.
My question / comment was very similar to Member Tornatori, so I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Member Schwarzy?
I absolutely agree with Member Polchowski's reasoning on this, but I would like to ask the circuit clerk, what would this mean to our department if this was not passed today?
So this relates to our disaster recovery program. So we have another off-site location where we maintain all of our disaster recovery should the court system go down, that we can restore the court system here. Without this contracts, we wouldn't have that. So it would be detrimental to this office. And I would like to say that, again, if we went out to bid on this, which we have, the contract on this one doesn't start for a few months now. We did go out to bid on this. They also did not include surcharges on those other contracts that came in as well. There was, no matter if we went out to bid again, the numbers would still be the same. This would still be added to the contracts. This was the lowest competitive bid. It doesn't include surcharges like other contracts did not include surcharges. We would still be in the same spot that we are today.
Thank you. Member Polchowski, then Member Krajewski, and then we're going to wrap it up.
If we vote this down, we still have a contract with them. We're just not agreeing to the increase because we're having a difference of opinion as to whether they were anticipated surcharges and fees or unanticipated. So they still have a contract with us. We're just not agreeing to pay the increase because we felt it was bound by the initial contract. and the fact that it's being added, we still have a contract. We're just not paying the additional fees.
Member Krajewski, all right, member Zay, and then who did okay, and then anybody that has not asked a question, I'll let ask, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Member
So does
Krajewski,
that
go
mean
ahead.
These guys can go back next year and just say we got another surcharge of about 80,000.
This is a 4-year contract.
Yeah.
It's a 4-year contract. So this is 54,000 spread over 4 years.
Okay, but the original contract we had was 4 years. And this was
Okay, member Zay, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. I'm just, looking at the change order and, in accordance with 720 ILCS, the one box, none of the boxes are checked. They're not reasonably foreseeable at the time of the contract, changing that. I mean, all the other ones are increased here. I mean, they're changing the unit price. Doesn't seem like a surcharge. They're actually changing the unit price. As line 1 unit price changed from this, line 2 unit charge changed. It doesn't seem like a surcharge. It seems like they're changing a unit price on this, not a surcharge. They might be calling it a surcharge. It just doesn't seem like that.
Member Grant, member Eckhoff, sorry. Member Grant Eckhoff, there we go.
Can we just find out before county board who's imposing the surcharges? Because they're all listed on page 113. And the 54,690 is not to exceed. So I'm not sure we're going to actually be charged that total amount. But find out who is imposing it, if it's discretionary. And from what I'm hearing, no matter what vendor we had picked at the beginning, these surcharges would be added in.
Correct.
Okay, member Renahan had a question, and then Don Bachowski, and then that, because we have to move on, but you go ahead.
Yeah, just comment wise, I think we see this routinely in IT. I mean, we usually bump up to the 30 or 35,000 and then we end up going over. I mean, this is routine stuff. And I think this is something that our circuit court clerk is saying. She's being bound by her predecessor's contract. So I think this is really much ado about nothing.
Thank you, member Renahan. Member Bachowski?
I think a compromise would be, I'll motion to table this because I think the application's been complete. And if the application's incomplete, then I think I don't know what the reason of the increase is because it's not what these surcharges are. So if there's an alternative, I would ask to be motion to table.
Okay, we have a motion by member Bachowski to table in a second by member Krajewski. Should we do let's do a roll call on this, please.
Member Bachowski.
Aye.
Member Renahan.
No.
Member Rutledge. Member Schwarzy.
Aye.
Member Selman.
No.
Member Tornatori. Member Zay. Member Chaplin.
No.
Member Chavez. Member Covert.
Aye.
Member Desart. Member DeCiani. Member Eckhoff. Member Garcia. Member Hart. Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante. Member Ozog.
No.
Seven voting nay. Voting aye.
Okay, 11 voting aye, 7 voting nay. The motion to table carries. Thank you. We move on to the last one, member Renahan.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of JPS CO 49621, amendment to resolution JPS P 302-19. This is a time extension and increase of $4,000 for Selco partnership Verizon Wireless for the Circuit Court and Chief Judge's Office.
We have a motion by member Renahan, a second by member Krajewski. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you so much, member Renahan. We move on to item D, Public Works, member Ozog.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Before we start on the first resolution, I would like to move to discharge the committee and present for approval PWR 034421 resolution, Green Valley Landfill Leachate Agreement between Waste Management of Illinois, DuPage County, and the Forest Preserve District of DuPage County. All in favor? Aye.
Oh, I'm running this meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I have a little extra to do here, so please go ahead, Madam Chairman.
Yeah, we have a motion by member Ozog. I'm sorry, who was the second on that? Oh, Member Garcia. All those in favor? All those in favor to discharge committee, any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Member Ozak, continue, please.
Okay, I would like to move to approve PWR 034421, a resolution Green Valley Landfill Leachate Agreement between Waste Management Illinois, DuPage County, Illinois, and the Forest Preserve District of DuPage County.
Okay, we have a motion by Member Ozak, a second by Member Desart. Any discussion on this? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, Member Ozak.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. My Zoom was not working and it threw me off completely this morning. Okay, number 2, I move for approval of PWP 031221, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Lakeside Equipment for parts for rehabilitation of screw pump number 1 at the Woodbridge Green Valley Wastewater Treatment Facility for Public Works for a total contract amount not to exceed $77,925 per ILCS 551022 competitive bids, not suitable for competitive bids, sole provider of OEM replacement parts for existing pumps.
No, we're on number 2 because we made the motion to discharge committee. Now we're doing the main motion. So we're on number 1. So okay, so we have a motion and then we have a second by who? Second by Member Zay. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Member Ozak, please continue.
I'm sorry, number 2, I move for approval of PWP 031221, recommendation for the approval of contract to Lakeside Equipment for parts for rehabilitation of screw pump number 1 at Woodridge Green Valley Wastewater Treatment Facility for Public Works, total contract amount not to exceed $77,925, not suitable for competitive bids, sole provider of OEM replacement parts for existing pumps.
Yes.
Member Ozak, we already did this, so we're going to move on.
Okay,
We're going to move on to number 3, please. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Okay, I move for approval of PWP 031121, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Cummins Sales and Service to purchase a diesel generator to provide emergency power to the treatment plant and other county-owned facilities during power outages and/or construction projects for Public Works for a total contract amount not to exceed $104,265.06. Contract pursuant to Intergovernmental Cooperation Act.
We have a second by Member Pachowski. Was that? Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Please continue, Member Ozak.
I move for approval of FMP 031021, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Nolan Sales Corporation to furnish, deliver, and install interface carpet and flooring as needed for county facilities for facilities management for the period July 14th, 2021 through April 14th, 2025 for a total contract amount not to exceed $200,000. Contract pursuant to Intergovernmental Cooperation Act.
Okay, we have a motion by Member Ozak, a second by Member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, Member Ozak.
Item number 5, I move for approval of FMP 031521, recommendation for the approval of a contract to the Standard Companies to furnish and deliver plastic trash and recycling can liners as needed for county facilities for facilities management for a 2-year period, July 14th, 2021 through July 13th, 2023, for a contract total amount not to exceed $90,000 for lowest responsible bid.
We have a motion by Member Ozak, a second by Member Chavez, or Member Covert. Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, Member Ozak.
I move for approval of FMP 032021, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Altorfer Industries to furnish and deliver 1 new 2021 Caterpillar model compact track loader for facilities management, grounds, and public works for a total contract amount not to exceed $76,570, $38,285 for facilities management, $38,285 for public works, contract pursuant to Intergovernmental Cooperation Act.
We have a motion by Member Ozak, a second by Member Garcia. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Let's see, Member Ozak.
I move for approval of FMP 031421, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Ashland Door Solutions to provide door maintenance, door sales, and installation as needed for county facilities for facilities management for a 2-year period, July 14th, 2021 through July 13th, 2023 for a contract total amount not to exceed $140,690 per lowest responsible bid.
Okay, we have a motion by member Ozog, a second by member Desart. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Great. And member Ozog.
Okay, and finally, I move for approval of FMP 031321. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to Ashland Lock and Security Solutions to provide locksmith services, maintenance, and installation as needed for county facilities for facilities management for a 2-year period, July 14, 2021 through July 13th, 2023, for a contract total amount not to exceed $96,260 per lowest responsible bid.
We have a motion by member Ozog, a second by member Covert. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, member Ozog. We move
Thank
on
you.
to item E, technology. Member Salmon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to yield to my Vice Chair, Member Hart, who's been chairing this committee in my absence. Member Hart and I will be working together to sort of transition back over the next month. But please, Member Hart, go ahead.
Thank you. Member Hart.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and welcome back, Member Salmon. I echo the chair's words on your return. So excited to have you back. I'll move on. Item 1, TEP 321-21, ratification of an emergency procurement with GHA Technologies, Inc. for the procurement of laptops for various departments for IT.
Okay, we have a motion by member Hart, a second by member Garcia. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Member Hart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on item number 2, a change order TEP 31A21, amendment to resolution TEP 31-21, issued to Tyler Technologies for the procurement, implementation, and maintenance of an integrated property tax solution for the treasurer, county clerk, supervisor of assessments and information technology to enable Tyler cash sharing and IAS World Field mobile software options.
We have a motion by member Hart, a second by member Desart. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, member Hart.
Thank you.
We move on to item number F, transportation, member Puchalski.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I would move to approve DTR 33621, awarding resolution issued to Thorn Electric for traffic signal improvements on Gary Avenue for an estimated county cost of $815,860.57 per low bid.
We have a motion by member Puchalski, a second by member Covert. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Member Puchalski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to approve DTR 33721, which is a resolution authorizing the Director of Transportation to execute a letter of understanding between the County of DuPage and the Illinois State Highway Authority for reconstruction of York Road, 100% county cost, total to credit county $3,064,000 as part of the Elgin O'Hare Western Access Program.
We have a motion by member Puchalski, a second by member Covert. Member Rutledge, you have a question?
Thank you, Chair. Chaplain, I'm totally fine with voting for this today, but I didn't know what I didn't know when this came up. So I'm just looking for a little bit of history and going forward on this item, how the county is tied into the Elgin O'Hare and just a little bit of extra on this item. I know
that's years in the making. Yeah, that's years and years in the making. What did you have a specific question that you wanted, or?
No, just, how going forward, I guess, is probably more my question about how this impacts the county. And maybe that's something I can check with Steph. Again, I don't have a problem voting for this item. I just didn't know enough.
Okay, okay. Member Puchalski, did you have any comments
No,
or?
it's part of Western Access. They are proceeding. They're building on the western side. It's an employee parking lot. So Western Access is finally moving forward and hopefully be done in my lifetime.
Hopefully, great. Thanks so much. Any other discussion? Member DeCiani.
Can't hear.
Oh, your microphone, please.
All the mayors in the county, mayors along the corridor came together back in 2010 to support this pretty significant transportation mogul for the west side of our county, of the airport, connecting our county. It's got connections to 294. It's got connections to 290. It's got connections to 390 and 490. it's something that's very critical to make our county competitive. And I think we should definitely support this from a county aspect. The towns have been stymied by the airport, and this is a chance for these towns, Bensonville, Wooddale, Itasca, Addison, Elmhurst, to actually see some gain and be able to transport, Roselle, I mean, all, Hanover Park, all those mayors, Elk Grove Village came together, which was not an easy feat because for a while there it was very divided. So let's get this done and let's move on because it's a great project that we need to have happen. Thank you.
Yeah, it is a great project. And in fact, I think it even goes back farther than 2010. I think I remember 2006 talking about this, early 2000. So it's been on the docket for a long time. So great project, which will definitely benefit all of DuPage County. So with that, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Let's see, Member Pachowski.
Move to approve DTR 3382, awarding resolution to Hurley Mid-Continent Company for improvements along St. Charles Road Bridge over the east branch of DuPage River for a contract amount of $267,940, which is low bid.
We have a motion by Member Pachowski, a second by Member Zay. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Member Pachowski.
Thank you. Move to approve DTR 33421, awarding resolution issued to Performance Construction and Engineering for the Kearney Road Dam for an estimated county cost of $427,898 per low bid.
We have a motion by Member Pachowski, a second by Member Desart. Discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Member Pachowski.
Thank you. Move to approve DTP 31721, a contract to Triangle Fabrication and Body Company to furnish and deliver Force American repair and replacement parts as needed for a contract not to exceed $40,000, which is lowest responsible bid.
We have a motion by Member Pachowski, a second by Member Zay. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Member Pachowski.
Thank you. Move to approve DTP 31621, a contract to Superior Asphalt Materials to furnish and deliver UPM bituminous cold patch as needed for a contract amount not to exceed $56,000, which is lowest responsible bid.
We have a motion by Member Pachowski, a second by Member Zay. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Pachowski.
Thank you. Move to approve DTP 30821, a contract to Vermeer, Illinois to furnish and deliver one capacity brush for the Division of Transportation for a contract not to exceed $87,754.
We have a motion by Member Pachowski, a second by Member Garcia. Discussion. Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Member
Thank you,
Pachowski.
Madam Chair. Move to approve DTP 30721, a contract to Rush Truck Centers of Illinois to furnish and deliver 8 axle six-wheeler with snow and ice equipment to Department of Transportation for a total cost not to exceed $1,666,824.
We have a motion by Member Pachowski, a second by Member Zay. Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chairman. Chaplain, typically when we're replacing police cars or things like that, we're 1 or 2. So just my question is, how come 8? I thought we staggered those typically.
Is anybody here to answer the question?
I think Chris Snyder would be able to answer. Is Chris there? This was something that we looked at and in committee thought it was the best interest of the county to do this. We had the money to provide these, and we've gone light the last couple of years. So this is something that we thought was in the best interest of the county, and we had the ability to afford these, and we wanted to make sure that our fleet stays, current and on top of it.
Member Zay.
Yeah, and I think also that there's extended delivery times right now with manufacturing. So this is why we're trying to get ahead. And they're talking to a year, 18 months to get these. So I think that's why we put the orders in. This is going to cover 2 years worth of our snowplows.
Great. Thank you. Member Renahan.
Can we just get confirmation from someone in transportation that they meet the thresholds?
there anybody here that can answer that?
Yeah, I'm on. This is Director Snyder. So normally what we do is we replace our plows, typically 4 per year. We cycle through them on an average of, we get about 10 years out of our plows under normal wear and tear. So as you recall, last cycle, this past year, given the budget situation, we only included 2 snow plows for replacement. We have not moved forward with those pending our revenue stream for the balance of the year. We heard from the manufacturers that we're probably 12 to 18-month lead times. So the thought is we would procure 4 for what we'll call the 2021 timeframe, but also purchase 4, put the order in for 4 for 2022, so that we're ahead of the game and then we're back on track, back on cycle.
Member Ryan.
I guess my question is, do they meet the, 150,000 mile or 12-year requirement?
Yeah, typically for equipment, we don't, that's not the criteria we use for replacement of equipment. It's usually just the usage, mechanics assessment, condition. Vehicle replacements do have the vehicle policy, which is both years, miles, but also always a mechanics assessment. On the snow plows, given the wear and tear they get and the environment they work in, the salt and everything, we do our best to get the 10 years out of them best we can. So they don't really fall into the vehicle replacement policy, more as equipment.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. And Member Pachowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And lastly, motion to approve DTR 314A-21 amendment to a resolution issued to R.W. Dutton Company for Milton Road Township 2021 Road Maintenance Program for the correction of a Scrivener's error.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Member Pachowski, a second by Member Desart. Discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Move on to item number 8, finance resolutions. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0330-21, resolution for additional appropriation for the coroner certificate fee grant for fiscal year 2017.
We have a motion by Member Krajewski, a second by Member Desart. Discussion on this item? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0340-21, resolution acceptance and appropriation of the community development block grant.
We have a motion by Member Krajewski, a second by Member Renahan. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0341-21. It's a resolution acceptance of an extension of the low-income home energy assistance program grant fiscal year 20.
We have a motion by Member Krajewski, a second by Member Desart. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0333-21, resolution amending the amount in the Adult Redeployment Illinois Program grant for 21.
We have a motion by Member Krajewski, a second by Member Garcia. Discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0342-21, resolution of acceptance and appropriation of the Illinois Department of Human Services Supportive Housing Program grant.
We have a motion by Member Krajewski, a second by Member Renahan. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0343-21, resolution placing names on payroll.
We have a motion by Member Krajewski, a second by Member Garcia. Discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Last, Madam Chair, I have a resolution FIR 0346-21, resolution concerning electronic public comment to the county board and committees.
We have a motion by Member Krajewski. Is there a second? We have a second by Member Tornantori. Discussion on this item? Okay, Member Salmon, then Member Pachowski, then Member Renahan. Member Salmon, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I want to echo some of the comments made in public comment today by Mr. Powell. As chair of the ad hoc committee on the rules, we've had much discussion about how to live in this new world of electronic comments. And the discussion in that group has trended towards making sure we have equal footing for those who can afford to attend Tuesday mornings, which we all know is pretty limited, and those who are unable to attend meetings, so they now have an electric option. The way this resolution is written would make a second class of public comments. It would mean those who submit their comments online, those are given to us in written format, but they are not read aloud into the record. In the committee, we have discussed setting a 30-minute limit because I think there is a valid concern. You know, we've all been through those meetings where maybe we have 2, 3, 4 hours of public comment, whether or not that's productive. So there's absolutely an interest in the committee on keeping that to 30 minutes so that we can continue our business. But the committee has not shown consensus around limiting the access of those who submit public comment electronically. So I will be voting no against this, and I would appreciate a no vote as well so we can continue the discussion in committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Selman. Member Pachowski, did you have a question?
Now, I had an issue with this as well, because one, I think we should have public comment. I don't want on the day of the meeting. I want them before the meeting. It seems to me 4:30 on Monday would be appropriate. And it just seems to me that we're having second class. So I will be voting against this as well.
Okay, thank you. Member Tornatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In a perfect world.
Oh, member, yeah, your microphone. Thank you.
I'd have your microphone on.
Here,
No, it's not. It's not on.
It's on. It's on. My light doesn't work. In a perfect world, everybody would be here to comment, and that would be my preference, certainly. I thought, I'm not on the rules committee, but my understanding was the rules committee was going to discuss the rules and present it to us. So I would hope that something like this, which is as important to our rules as so many other things, would be part of a global policy that would be sent to us and not sent to us piecemeal. Substantively, I think once we started with the electronic public comment, we opened the door. And I think it's very difficult to lock that door now. Maybe we can close it a little bit. I do think that a 30-minute limit is terribly important, whether they're in person or electronically. I think some type of a hybrid might be in order. If we've got people here, I think they should be given preference. I think if they take 20 minutes and we've got 10 minutes left over and we've got a few electronic public comments, we just read them until we get to 30 minutes and then we're done. I mean, that should be our goal. Not necessarily to stifle the public comment, but to limit it to 30 minutes so that we don't go on. So those are kind of my thoughts. And I think for those reasons, I'm going to vote against it, even though I would hope that people would come here and not use the internet as opposed to having the opportunity to come here and meet their elected representatives.
Thank you, Member Tornatori. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think this was brought forward, first of all, rules go through the finance committee. So I think this is what was brought forward. I think it was also brought forward because the uncertainty of member Selman and the rules committee hadn't met in months. So I think this was brought forward. I think what we also have to look at is we have, elections coming. And again, we don't want getting political comments in here. And then how do you limit people? I know it's a very slippery slope here. How do you limit people who sent in their comments on, the Tuesday the week before, and the people who sent their comments on Friday, they don't get read, they get put into the record. So, I mean, how do we do that? We all sat through the hours and hours of public comment. We know we have to come up with a solution here. My suggestion is, seeing everybody, is that we table this, and hopefully now that member Selman's back, we can move forward with the rules committee and come to a conclusion here on the public comment issue.
Yes, thank you so much. Does anybody else have any discussion on this? Member DeCiani.
There we go.
I'm gonna make a motion to table.
Okay, great. Motion to table by Member Zay, second by Member Desart. Member DeCiani, please.
I agree on the table. I think this needs to be looked at. I also think that we did open up a Pandora's box with this, and we had a lot of comments from people who don't even live in this county. We had comments from California. We had comments from unsigned people. I think there's got to be a protocol. Put your name and your address in, and be in the county, either a business or a resident, and you could submit for public comment. That could be entered in record. People that submit from California, I'm sorry, they're not the taxpayers that we're listening to. So I think that's irrelevant. So I think we need to close that door as it's not pertinent to county business and to people that we really need to listen to. We need to listen to our residents and our businesses.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the comments, and thank you. And Member Zay is correct. There was uncertainty about when the ad hoc or when the Rules Committee would meet, and we did want to bring this forward because, as we know, the governor, things are going back to normal, well, somewhat normal. So we kind of wanted to hone in on this. So I think it is a great idea to go ahead and table and to talk about it in the Rules Committee or in Rules Committee. And Member Selman, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Just to clarify about the uncertainty thing, there was direct communication with the board members about the status both of my absence as well as the status of that committee. It was clear that it was on hiatus. I have been in communication the entire time with senior staff and with the chairman, so they were all well aware of when this committee would come back. And members could have, asked me about the timing of my return rather than sort of doing this excessive step. So I'm glad to see that looks like there's support to table, and I will be supporting that motion as well. Thank you.
Okay, in consulting with our assistant state's attorney, we should table it to a date certain, because if we table right now, it will have to come back in 2 weeks. Is that correct? They'll come back to the next meeting. So.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, that's the advice I'm getting from my assistant state's
Well,
attorney.
I don't have a blue seersucker suit, but being here 22 years, if I don't put a date on it, it won't come back at all. If there's no date certain, it's got to be, it won't be brought back in 2 weeks. That's my intention, is not to bring it back in 2 weeks, is to bring it back when the Rules Committee discusses.
Yes. Member Selman, please.
Yeah, so if we'd like to put a date on it, why don't we put the very end of the year? The rules packet will become before this body, and then this will become irrelevant by then. So if we need to put a date on it to satisfy the motion, let's put December 31st of this year.
Okay, we're verifying the state's attorney is looking into it. Member Tornatori.
Just to remind everybody, we have a 30-minute rule in place right now. We never changed that. So it's just a matter of whether we enforce it.
Yeah.
And that's where I think that the problem is lied, and trying to get everybody to have the opportunity to do that. So while this is pending in rules, we still have that 30-minute limit.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you so much. Hold on a second.
If the tabled motion is not brought up in the next meeting, it's basically stricken and it no longer exists anymore. So this is the reason, if you guys want the motion to still exist out there somewhere so you can bring it back, then you need to do it a date certain. If you want to just strike it, then certainly table it, period, and don't bring it up next.
Member Zay, how would you like to proceed?
I never want to talk about it.
So how about we just pull this item for today? Does that make, can we go ahead and just pull the item?
So moved.
I think I can pull the item.
Just pull it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think for today's purposes, we will pull the item from the agenda. Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for all the discussion. Oh, we can't.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Withdraw your motion, thank you, and withdraw the second. Thank you, okay. And then we are going to pull the item from today's agenda. Thank you so much. We move on to item number 9, informational. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to receive and place on file informational items: A, payment of claims; B, wire transfers; and C, grant proposal notification.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Now we have our presentation on the American Rescue Plan Act request, and we are going to have our county departments come up. So Nick.
All right. Good morning, everybody. So I am going to cover the presentation today, but every department and elected official that has anything in this presentation is available on the Zoom to ask questions or to answer any questions that we have. So to give a little bit of a background, throughout the last couple of months, obviously we've been giving you the schedule. What we're going to do today is obviously the presentation for all of the departments, all of the elected officials within DuPage County. We have this afternoon, we'll have other presentations, but this encompasses everybody here on campus. So if you want to, next slide. A little bit of a background, and you guys have all seen this already. The American Rescue Plan, Arpa Act, we were fortunate enough to receive 179.3 million, or be granted that, where 89.6 has already been received. We have received that check already. And then the second allocation of that, or the second tranche of that, of another 89.6 is expected a year from that, May of 2022. All eligible expenses are retroactive back to 3/3/21. And then unlike the CARES Act, we have some more time to spend that. So it can be much more thoughtful, but we have till the end of 26 to spend everything. And, very similar to the CARES Act, primary purpose, support immediate pandemic response, but also the equitable recovery. How do we recover economically? And so that's a big part of the ARPA. As the board realizes, we've already allocated over 16 million, vast majority of that through Choose DuPage and the Small Business Assistance Program. We have also done administrative staffing positions approved back on beginning of June. Next slide. So we've all seen this. Here are the eligible uses of ARPA. I'm not going to go real in depth, but obviously, first and foremost, supporting our public health response for dealing with COVID. And that's been the front line for the health department this entire time. It also has a replacing public sector revenue loss, addressing negative economic impacts. We have premium pay for essential workers, water and sewer and stormwater, which is that's different from the CARES Act, that one. And they called out broadband infrastructure as well. So first one we're going to talk about is the water and sewer. Like I said, this is very different from the CARES Act, where they called this out specifically: water, sewer, stormwater. And it was very straightforward. Any projects in those categories would qualify. So obviously building, upgrading facilities, transmission, distribution, storage, and all aligned with the EPA goal for the Clean Water Act State Revolving Fund. So next slide. So our first consideration for us to talk about today would be through the Stormwater Department. Fairly sizable request in this one. However, Stormwater was the one that out of all of the requests you see today, this was probably the most consensus we've heard from the board about wanting to move forward with stormwater. Let me get some details in this one here. So you can see up here, they're looking or asking for consideration of almost a little bit over $20 million, including both their normal county-wide flood control projects, the unincorporated drainage projects, which they're in charge of, as well as stream bank stabilization projects. Primarily, the flood control projects are located in the St. Joseph Creek and the Sugar Creek watersheds. And the purpose of those are reduce the river flooding countywide. The unincorporated drainage projects, they've identified critical areas where projects will alleviate repetitive local flooding. That's one of their criteria. And in the stream bank stabilization component, any areas threatening the integrity of the banks and surrounding properties, and then water quality considerations as well. Interesting, the great thing about the stormwater request, they're looking to utilize the 20 million to parlay it into much bigger. They're looking for matching funds of another 13 million. So with 20 million, they're looking to do about $33 million worth of projects throughout the county. As we've talked about before, the other communities have received their own ARPA funding. A lot of these projects are critical to them, So we're looking for matching funds out there. And the final outcome of which projects, how the matching, that's going to be run through obviously Stormwater Committee. We have, as part of this request, obviously a lot of engineering, project management needs to be done with that. So looking for an additional 1.2 million, almost 1.2. And then staffing, the internal staffing costs for qualified projects I've estimated at 908,000 for a total allocation request of 21.1 million. And on all these slides, you'll see the breakdown, allocation 1, allocation 2, and at the end, we'll tie it together. But basically, out of the first allocation we received, they're asking for 4.8 million. And out of the second, that's pending in about a little bit less than a year, they're asking for 17.3 million.
Member Schwerzy, do you mind if we get through the presentation and then ask questions if we, because we want to get through it. Thank you so much.
Next slide. Next request is Public Works Department. We are looking in Public Works for doing blower replacement down at the wastewater treatment plant for 1.8 million. Basically, we're going to replace the old dated mechanics we have down there to provide air to the treatment plant with turbo blowers. And the real benefit for this, I mean, not only do we have very old equipment that needs replaced, but the new equipment will provide an energy savings for all of our users throughout the county that are on our system, about $200,000 to $240,000 a year. So very energy efficient. And this component that we're replacing constitutes about 40% of the energy demand for the treatment plants. Now, one thing that we heard from a lot of different members, that one of the initiatives that everybody was looking to maybe move forward with was sewer and water extensions for unincorporated properties or even incorporated properties. And our plan would be, this would be our initial request in Public Works. And then if that's still the want of the board, we would come through as a department through the portal for you to weigh our projects against the other projects out there, if you would like to fund extensions for water and sewer. So that would be coming down the line. Like I said, total request 1.8 million. That's going to be broken up 100,000 out of the first tranche of money, and then the remainder out of the second to get going on the engineering. And then the interesting thing with this one, we're doing this as part of a much bigger project, a $17 million project, but this is a critical component that will provide benefits for many years to come with utility savings. Next slide. So the next group of projects we're going to do is wrapped around the public health response. And basically you're going to see a lot of capital investments in the public facilities here on campus in order to combat COVID, but not only COVID, but any contagion that we might experience moving forward. You're going to see a lot of HVAC, a lot of improvements like that, ventilation, social distancing. So every project that you see has been vetted by the kind of internal COVID committee that is made up of multiple departments to make sure they do qualify. Any questions we've had, we've talked to our lobbyists out there in Washington to make sure we're on the right page. And we have, there's been a number that have been removed, requests that have come in from departments or elected officials. We have, if we didn't feel they met, we've taken them out. So everything you're seeing today has been vetted and are definitely eligible for ARPA consideration by this board. And you're going to see some expenses, obviously, temporary medical facilities. So you're going to see a lot. So as we move forward, next slide. First one, and this is kind of our flagship project for the entire ARPA funding consideration, the care center request. So we've got a care center over there. They do phenomenal work, but they're in a dated facility. I think the last renovation was probably, if you look, probably 80s, early 90s. And we are recommending for consideration of these funds. Like I said, this is our biggest single project we have in the entire ARPA funding, $16.7 million for modernizing the care center. And this is going to include everything from resident room rehabilitation nursing stations, shower rooms, flooring, ceiling, lighting repairs, oxygen and vacuum lines, handrails out there. It's to bring the facility into the current age and be competitive with everybody. But more importantly, to everything we're doing is going to be have an eye toward contagion and reducing the spread of contagion over there. And it's not only are we, so we're asking for consideration for 16.7 out of the ARPA funding. We're also going to be parlaying that with the Care Center Ken Moy Foundation funding, the $2 million he donated several years ago, 1.8 million through CDBG grants, and then ComEd energy grants. So this is for the areas of the project that don't qualify for ARPA. These other funds will handle that. So at the conclusion of this will basically be a complete new facility over there. The interesting point of this one, and we did it for this one because this is our flagship. This single project will create over 187,000 hours of trade labor type of work out there with electrical, HVAC, plumbing, all of that. So that is a big part of, not only are we handling the contagion part, but we're handling the other part of ARPA of being economic recovery. And this is a big project toward that. Like I said, this is one of our key projects that we're focusing on. Also over at the Care Center is a complete replacement of the HVAC. During the Care Center, we did not replace it because we did not have time to do it under the deadline of the CARES Act. But this is one that we are going to be replacing the outdated broken air handling. We're adding ultraviolet, fresh air intake. It's going to be state of the art over there for some of our most vulnerable residents of DuPage County, our clients here. So
we're going to hold off on questions till the end, till we get through the presentation. Thanks. Thank you, Member Z.
And then obviously incorporating the energy efficiency, 7.5 million as part of that. And then we also have, if you remember during CARES Act, there was a lot of expense over there for testing, for handling a lot of the COVID response. That will continue. They're still doing testing over there. They're still doing, so this is for reimbursement for expenses. Like I said, this is one of our major projects. Total request 27.7 million for consideration, breaking up allocation 1, 2.2 million, allocation 2, 24.9 million. So that is, you'll see that's kind of the flagship project. Next slide. So our next one we're coming to is facilities management. And even though facilities management has their own page, they're going to be involved in almost every single project on all of these pages with the construction. I mean, they've been dealing with all the electeds for coming up with the list anyway. First project here, this is our second single biggest project, the JLB HVAC improvements. This is, we are, as we know, JLB, you have the congregation or congregated living, communal living over there. And so it's very critical to make sure that we do everything we can for the air quality, the contagion, stopping the contagion spread. So with this project, it's a need, and you'll see that with a lot of these projects that we're presenting, is that it is a future need that we have in our budget, but it also coincides very well with the ARPA funding, the ARPA guidelines. So we're able to not only solve a contagion issue, but we are taking a future fiscal pressure off of our books as well with that. But the JLB HVAC improvements, repairing, replacing outdated broken air handling units up there, and then a much better system for control and indoor air quality. Once again, state of the art for contagion spread to prevent that. The other issue, HVAC right here in the 421 building, and this is going to be building-wide upgrades for the HVAC here. This is all basically original equipment since the building was constructed. And so this is going to bring us up to the next level as we're going to be repairing the broken chilled water coils, repairing and replacing the air handling units, better system for control of indoor air quality. We're adding bipolar and ultraviolet disinfection, and then much better controls in order to handle all of the air quality in this building. 2.79 million. Our third one that we're bringing for consideration for the board is actually the power plant HVAC improvements. That's kind of the backbone of all the buildings here on campus. This provides all of the air. So we're actually doing some of the treatment, doing the improvements at the source. So we are recommending 860,000 in there, and that includes the chilled water improvements, condenser pump improvements, control valve improvements over there. And then overall, facilities management is kind of the area of first response for all of our housekeeping, building anything for plexiglass, glass. So these are the expenses that were estimated over the course of the ARPA program for additional expenses for a total ask for consideration facilities management 9.9 million, with 7 million out of allocation 1 and 2.8 million out of allocation 2. Next slide. Community services. We know Mary Keating will be coming in August for the nonprofit side of all the requests. This is simply her hard construction up in her office to deal with the COVID considerations. Her office is looking for a total of 320,000, broken into 250,000 for the 421 administrative upgrade up in her office. And the main point of that, her intake area is, if you've ever been up there, it's absolutely crowded and jammed. And with all of the new programs coming out of ARPA and the feds and the state, her usage of that for her customers are increasing exponentially. And we need to be able to not only work with the increased number of people coming there, but make it safe for some of our more vulnerable clientele. And so this is going to do exactly that. It's going to transform how they do business, how they administer all these programs that are being done through ARPA. The other request through her group would be 70,000 for the 422 CANIC, Children's Advocacy and Neutral Exchange Center across the street. What we're looking at would be the construction of socially distanced areas for the supervised parenting time, as well as kind of a laundry facility and dishwasher to help them sanitize a lot of the toys and different objects that they work with over there. That's next slide, please. Finance requests. If you remember, in the early June, we did some temporary positions for COVID. This has to do with the actual reimbursement of their staff working on COVID. Pretty straightforward. They know what numbers it took for CARES Act. This one's going to be even greater, last longer, and they've calculated. So this is a reimbursement of the staff time for dealing with the ARPA requests and administering the program. Next slide. IT requests. Probably the second most request that we've heard from board members would be the second one on here, the county website redesign. But we'll start with the first one. So IT has looked, and you're going to see IT sprinkled, especially when we get an elected officials coming up. They're sprinkled throughout in their presentations. But what they're looking to do is 260,000 for improving the broadband signal strength over to the 503, 505. That's probably our biggest complaint here on campus is the Wi-Fi and being able to connectivity over in 503, 505. So this is the backbone, bringing fiber optic to those buildings. And you will see in the requests from, I think, the chief judge and maybe the clerk over there about other improvements with that. But this will once and for all solve that. And as we said before, broadband is a absolutely called out component of ARPA. Second one we have in here is the county website redesign. Current one, over 11 years old. It's definitely outdated. And all of the services that we now offer online because of COVID, we need to better show the public and make available to the public. And so what we're proposing would be consideration of just a complete revamp of the county website. All of the different elected officials, departments would be involved in that, and this would be quite a heavy lift, probably take a good 1.5 years, 2 years to do. Next one, county laptop and docking stations. You saw today that I think you approved in finance $30-some thousand for laptops. That is a component of this that will be a reimbursed plus the purchase of new laptops. I know that what we want to eventually do, it is so hard to get laptops now. If this is approved or considered by the board, then it would give IT the ability to respond, provide laptops. We know that they were critical during the original CARES Act. There's still employees out there that don't have the telework capability. And then finally, they calculated COVID-related operating expenses within their department over the next several years to deal with the response. They came up with $54,900. Total request at IT of a little bit over $1 million. Allocation 1, $864,000. Allocation 2, $140,000. Next slide. And then miscellaneous requests. This is actually an interesting request. So during CARES Act, we actually purchased a fairly new technology unit, and we've been demoing it down in with the clerk and elections. And there's been a lot of interest in that. So to that end, we actually asked all the departments and elected officials, and we gave them the specs on it if they're interested. And there was an overwhelming response that they do want these type of units. So we're recommending they're whisper quiet standalone units that work. One unit can do the whole can filter this whole room. And so we're focusing on areas that have high traffic, high volume of people. So we're talking 26 standalone units capable of HEPA filtration. And then a component of that will be, facilities will have a number of them that we have in reserve that we can roll out for large events, say election events, things like that, that we can, if we have a big number of people coming in, we can help with those events. So 26 units for a total of 131,000. We recommend if the board agrees to purchase those right away and roll them out. And not only COVID, this is going to help with everything from flu season to anything else that might come up as well. Next slide. Now we're getting into elected official requests. As we said, we sent out originally all of the general guidelines and had every elected official send back what they would request. We've worked with every single one of them, talked to all of them. And what you see is kind of the scrub version of what everybody is comfortable with, what meets the guidelines. So auditor request is very straightforward. They're requesting funding for one new dedicated person for Arpa claims over the life of dealing with Arpa. During the CARES Act, the auditor was extremely busy. They processed 5,400 CARES Act claims. They did 59 audits independently for CARES Act only and contributed about 4,600 staff hours. So they are going to be involved in every single request that comes through, every single payment. They have to check it, they have to do it. So this is adding one person to do that, includes as well as reimbursement for their existing staff up there to do it. At the conclusion of ARPA 3 years, that position, it will be, as a temporary position, will be eliminated. And you can see how it's going to be divided. Allocation 114,000, allocation 2, 167,000. Next slide. Treasurer request. Very modest $5,000 request. Treasurer Henry has requested some Zoom capability down there, both for her staff and provide more ability for maybe to reduce in-person visits, handle that. So basically it's going to be a Zoom room down there for Treasurer Henry. And that would be constructed right away. So it's all allocation 1. Next slide. Next request comes from the ROE. So they have a new program that they would like to bring into play for truancy staff additions. One thing that became apparent during the first part of COVID would be the chronic absences that, especially among the populations hardest hit by COVID-19. There was a huge increase. They've seen, I mean, for instance, during the height of COVID, 170 chronic truants in one day from one school district that ROE is responsible for. They're the statutory authority responsible for that. So what this program is going to do is they're going to bring 2 additional behavioral interventionists into ROE, and they will actually go out and work with parents and students and the school in order to stop that type of behavior. So they're going to be out on the street doing that. This is 1 year for that, and depending on if there's still a need or if it's successful, they may come through the portal for additional for that. They have also come up with a list of various purchases that they'd like to have in order to do, including remote capable software, workbooks, laptops, cleaning supplies, things like that. Over the course of it, they came up $118,135. And then the other project or program that is on there that we will likely come back to you is the Vulnerable Students Work-Based Program. And basically what this is, they're going to be working closely with WorkNet, and the 2 of them will come back to the board with how they would like to do. This is partnering with the manufacturing community to get internships, to get the students out there working. And so WorkNet has received a substantial amount of money from the feds and the state. And what this would be, ROE would probably handle the segment of population that is maybe missed by that program. And so they'll be coming for maybe consideration during the portal program for that. So all of her requests of 248,000 would be all during allocation 1. Next slide. This chief judge request on this one, I think everybody's been over to the courthouse to see the success of the video upgrades that we had during CARES Act for the courtrooms over there. The 825,000 you see there is completing all the remaining courtrooms over in the courthouse for audio and video upgrades to allow for virtual, to allow for the presentation of evidence. This is the final piece of that. And it's been more successful than I think anybody ever imagined originally. And I know that all of the other circuits out there are looking at us of how we're able to do it, but this is the final piece of that. Actually, time-wise for the public comment this morning, and I know some other board members have asked, the chief judge is wanting to start an eviction mediation program. And as we all know, the surge for evictions are coming. Once the ban is lifted, they're going to be coming. And the whole purpose of this program is going to be assisting the tenants and the landlords, getting them together, mediating them to avoid eviction and pursuing a mutually beneficial alternative that everybody can. So it's basically a lot more hand-holding, a lot more involvement. But I do believe this might be one of the first programs that the chief in the state that the chief judge is proposing for this. So he's looking for 304,000 for this. One of the initiatives that they would like to see would be the touchless washrooms, because we know that a lot of the vectors are spread through there. This is definitely not the entire building. This is just going to be kind of a sample for some of the bathrooms. We'll likely buy the products. Our staff will install them, see how they work. I mean, we have over 1 million visitors over in the courthouse a year. We just have to see the reliability of these. So this is kind of a test cycle. Next slide. Because they've gone through COVID-related operating expenses. They've computed about 103,000 over the course of ARPA. We mentioned before the Wi-Fi. One of the biggest complaints we received from outside the litigants and attorneys where IT is doing the backbone to the building. And now this is actually improving the Wi-Fi within the building. This will include 41 new access points, 11 switches, and new wires being pulled to improve it for 130,000. Final item up there for coming from the chief judge would be the production of informational videos for jurors and visitors. regarding, accessing the website, everything. I know that Suzanne Armstrong, the court's administrator, and Joel Olson have been working very closely on this one. A majority of it will be handled in-house with her staff. There may be components that are not able to, but it might actually go away if we're able to do it all in-house. But as we get into it, this is a component they've been working closely to provide multiple videos for the people coming there. You can see their total request by the chief judge is 1.407 million, with split fairly evenly between allocation 1 and allocation 2. Next slide. Circuit court clerk requests. You'll see in this slide and the next one, the main point in all of these is providing more ability for the public to access everything remotely. And so all of these are very, very good projects. So the first one is the improvement of the courtroom Ethernet connections. And this is where it allows the outside parties to hook into the system. The first and second one are kind of linked, because in order for safety, the courts provide the laptops and the PCs for the attorneys on the board to practice over there. This is going to improve the capability, evidence sharing, all of that in all the courtrooms. So this is going to benefit every single courtroom over there. So that's 477 for the Ethernet, and then 200,000 for the courtroom computers. The other third request from Clerk Adams would be web-based software development for 200,000. All of her forms some of them are available all online, and this will have additional ones so that people won't have to come in, won't have to submit something, everything. So this is looking to get more of her popular forms online, available for the public to cut down that million visitor, if at all possible, coming in. And so it's pretty straightforward, and she'll do as many as she can fit in for the 200,000. Next slide. One of her largest item, or one of her most important items that she wanted, was this redundant uninterrupted power supply for 150,000. Everything she does over there is tied to the public being able to connect in. And the weakest point in her entire system is the uninterrupted power supply. If something were to go down, the entire court system goes down. So this allows for uninterrupted service for all of the public out there. The next request she had was, right now over in her office, we have plexiglass we put up as part of the CARES Act. She would like to make that permanent glass at the public counters, which makes sense because there's probably no office at the county that receives more visitors here on the campus than her office. And making it, I mean, we're not talking just COVID, the flu, everything like that. I think that's a good investment for the number of people coming in there. And then the final thing would be the scanning of the paper case files, 280,000. They obviously have a large backlog, and these are the ones that a lot of the public needs copies of, they need access to. Right now, there's a lot of personal involvement back and forth in order to provide these. These will make all of these files available for the public, for the attorneys out there, so they're not coming in. So this is a key part to reducing the volume coming over there for people coming in. Total request for Clerk Adams, 1.35 million, with all of it being in the first year, or the first allocation. Next one, state's attorney request. So state's attorney, fairly modest request. Everything, both of these, the theme is basically making everything more remote, able, more people being able to access it remotely. You have the technology upgrades that they want, laptops for the digital media evidence, DME, review and presentation, video conferencing kits for remote meetings and court sessions, and then the scanner, meeting room and scanner upgrades. So everything is both of those are trying to make what all of them use available digitally. And right now it's not digitally, and that's the purpose. So like I said, the laptops eliminate the sharing of equipment, the exchange of items, and allows for remote sharing of DME. The video conferencing kits eliminate the sharing of equipment, the exchange of items, and allows for remote meetings, training, and conferences. And same concept with Clerk Adams. There's some definite backlog for the paper files to prevent the sharing of the files, for a total request for the state's attorney of $253,000, with the majority of it being in allocation 1. Next slide. Sheriff requests. This is one, the first one, table replacement. This is one that we were hoping to get within the CARES Act originally, and it didn't work out with everything else that were. So this is a complete table replacement for all the inmate housing areas. They have the original inmate painted steel tables, vandalized, constant maintenance. They're kind of it's hard to even sanitize them because they are vandalized so much. So what the request would be new stainless steel tables, much easier to disinfect and maintain, and obviously of institutional quality so that they will last a very long time. Next request would be this is a reimbursement for the mattress replacements that were done throughout the facility several months ago for $240,000, and the new mattresses bought are definitely upgraded for the fact of not being able to spread vectors and being able to be washed and clean, for a total request for the sheriff of $570,000, all of it being as part of tranche 1 or allocation 1. Next slide. So we're coming to the end here, so I appreciate everybody staying with me. So we are also recommending consideration of a reserve contingency fund of 18 million. I know it's a lot, but there's a lot that we don't know about what we're up against moving forward. You're going to hear from Executive Director Ayala this afternoon for the Health Department. And obviously, we know where we're at right now with COVID, but we don't know where it's going with variants, with what we need in the future. So this 18 million is going to be our piggy bank for what we don't know about the public health response. What do we need? A booster shot? Is there going to be a variant we got to deal with? It's also, what's the care center going to respond? What are they going to be up against? They're going to be changing requirements because of this. Revenue replacement. Do we have revenue replacement? I'll tell you right now, in what we're looking at, it might be difficult to qualify for revenue replacement, but there's new guidelines coming out constantly. And if we do, this will be where it comes from. Staffing. All the departments are dealing with COVID. As we learn more requirements, this will be where that reimbursement. This will also be, if none of the other items pan out, this would be a great spot for revenue or for future grant member initiatives. If you remember during CARES Act, that was extremely successful initiative we had. This would be where it comes from as well. But we have, as we said, we have to have this money spent by the end of 26. So we're in it for the long haul. This is one of those that we don't know what we're going to be up against. Are the businesses going to be impacted more? So we're recommending consideration of 18 million, all of it coming out of allocation number 2. Next slide. So it's small print, but you can kind of see how it's divided out. Total request, not including the reserve, 67 million. It's a lot of money without a doubt, but it actually, if you look at the 3 biggest projects we have, stormwater, 22 million, the care center, 27 million. So that's 49 million. And then facilities, you have JLB, 6 or 7 million. That's the vast majority. Like 57 of the 67 million is divided among 3 projects. The rest of them are smaller asks. But those 3 were the ones that we've heard probably most from the board members as being the highest initiatives for the board. Next slide. You can see how it's broken down among the different allocation types here between IT related. Vast majority is in our capital requests, stormwater, JLB, care center. And then you get stormwater, the next one. So you can see how it's broken down with 67. Next slide. And so this is kind of one of the most important slides, the most important slide. You can kind of see how the ARPA funds, first line on top, how the ARPA funds are divided, 89 million over two different tranches from the federal government for a total of 179. This board has approved the allocation of a total of 16 million so far. And you can see how it's broken down by each allocation, how the money is going to be needed. So out of the request, our request for consideration you've seen today, 18.8 million from allocation 1, 48.1 million from allocation 2, for a total of 67 million. Then you can see the contingency line for 18 million, so that you can see at the bottom, the total request for allocation 1 to date, considering this, is 34 million, allocation 2 is 66 million, and overall you can see the remaining ARPA funds. And there's going to be a lot more requests coming forward that this board has to consider. You know, Mary Keating, all the nonprofits, what you're going to see today. So there's going to be a lot more requests, but you know, I think that is next slide, I think. And you can, and we're talking about, here's the kind of schedule moving forward. This afternoon, you're going to hear from the health department, Choose DuPage, Convention and Visitors Bureau. And then August 10th, you'll have community services, nonprofits led by Mary Keating for that one. And then we are currently, finance is working to get the portal lined out for the outside applicants that aren't covered by anything that we presented so far or will be presenting. And we're looking to get that up and running August 24th to September 14th. And with that, a lot of information. I apologize, but for your consideration, and we've got everybody's online available for questions.
Yes, so thank you so much, Nick. I'm going to open up to questions, and I know Member Schwerzy, Member Zay had questions, Member Covert, and then Member Desart. Go ahead, Member.
Thank you.
Schwerzy.
Thank you very much, Nick. Just under stormwater, the stream bank stabilization projects, are those just in unincorporated areas, or those streams in municipal areas as well?
I'll defer to Sarah. I know the answer to that one, but I will defer to you.
Thank you, Member Schwarzy. That's a very good question. We have countywide stream banks that are incised and that need to be addressed. We have areas that we have applied for grants for. There's an area through Winfield that we've received a grant for a small portion of it already from DECO as soon as they release those funds. And we've also applied to the EPA for another area through Winfield into county campus. If those areas do not receive the grant funding, then we'll look for these recovery funds. We also have areas up in Roselle that are extremely incised, and what we see in those areas is that they're actually eroding away on private property. And so we want to address those before that becomes a larger issue.
Okay, so just a quick follow-up. Thank you very much, Sarah. Because you already have these areas, already identified, what if there's other areas that maybe a municipality or people in our county want to address?
That's also a great question. And so we do have areas identified that we utilize to come up with our total funding amount. The only areas I will say that are definitely set in stone is our primary request that we brought forward to our committee earlier this month. And with that request, that's at initial 4 million, which actually does not include stream stabilization. The permitting required for stream stabilization won't allow us to spend those funds in the next year. Some of these are projects we already have teed up countywide.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Member Zay, did you have a question?
I did. Nick, one side of the Convo Center has been unusable for years. Why wouldn't we take this opportunity to make that a usable space and redo it? I mean, it's just been sitting there empty for decades. I mean, if we're not going to do it at this point, I don't understand why we wouldn't do it.
It's an excellent point. And
then also, I didn't see any requests for the county board on here. Like us. I mean, I see the auditor and stuff. I mean, we have a lot of projects. We have a very small staff. I think it's taxed much on this. We have 18 members that call upon. I'm a chairman. I mean, I think something we have to look at as staff. I know many board members were hesitant to take the plexiglass and stuff down. Wouldn't this be time to redo this boardroom and spread it out a little bit so people do feel comfortable if something were to happen again? Which I don't think would be a large amount of money.
Yeah.
But again, I know many members didn't want to take the plexiglass down, but it would be a time to move people a little more apart so maybe board members feel comfortable.
happy to consider that that's the.
Yeah,
what the
and
board
members,
would like.
please send those, because we have been asking for board members' requests. So please, send those in and we'll definitely address it. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
So from the care center comment, I mean, and your comments well made over there for do we include that? Do we expand? In meeting with the care center staff, obviously the number one priority was to update the rooms over there. But if the direction of the board is to update that area, we can consider that and get a cost for that and bring that for consideration as well. If we want to talk about that more. We will absolutely look at it. The one thing I will tell you, it has been vacant for a very long time. And I know that even the utilities in there need to be basically HVAC, water, all of those need to be redone. So it would not be an inexpensive measure, but we can absolutely look at it to figure out if Janelle and her team, if they can come up with if there's an alternative for one of the floors or something like that, happy to do that.
Thank you. Member Garcia and then Member Covert. Oh, I'm sorry. Member Covert, Member Desart, then Member Garcia. Member Covert, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two separate questions, Nick, two separate issues. First of all, can ARPA be used for hiring staff or temporary workers?
Yes, if they are doing ARPA related items.
Because what I'm thinking at State's Attorney's Office, they have a higher workload over there with the ASAs and the staff recently. But we need more ASAs there and staff. And I was thinking maybe a temporary fix that, maybe temporary graduates coming from law school to work there for a year to work,
I will tell you that the ARPA requirements are actually more exacting than the CARES Act requirements. And I mean, happy to explore different areas, but the hiring, I mean, we found that even the reimbursement of our existing staff for what we're working on is quite a bit more difficult than it was during CARES Act. And I mean, if they're working on something that is 100%, like the auditor isn't easy, they're hiring a temporary person to do nothing but process CARES Act claims. So that's an easy thing. But if I'm happy to meet with, if the state's attorney feels that there's somebody working on nothing but ARPA COVID related items, I mean, it's a definite possibility, but it's more restrictive than CARES Act.
Okay, and then my second question is, and Member Chavez and I were discussing this too. We noticed that there are two drainage projects in District 5. And we've had severe flooding issues before, and we still continue to have flooding issues in certain parts of Naperville, which, when I spoke to the constituents there, it's still a problem. So we just want to know, why do other districts have 3 or 4 and District 5 has 2?
Thank you for that question. So first of all, drainage projects are only in unincorporated DuPage. That's the way the statute is set up. That's the way stormwater management has to operate with 4 drainage projects. And so we were looking at projects that we knew of in unincorporated DuPage. We actually just completed 3 there that we talked about recently at our committees. And so we've done a lot of good work, but we also do work with the municipalities in District 5. Aurora is outside of our realm for stormwater management. So that's a decent part of District 5. And Naperville is getting its own allotment, but we will work with Naperville when they are looking at projects, and we'll bring them forward to the committee and work that through the process as it goes through.
Thank you. Members, did you want to add a comment in?
Yeah, we had talked in committee and I talked with Sarah. This is a great opportunity to work with municipalities because they are also getting money. So we're looking to combine, we're going to open the portal up. Sarah's going to send a letter out to the mayors and managers that they can also use their municipal money for stormwater projects. So why not we get projects together and combine our money and do IGAs together, and we might be able to expand some of those projects.
Thank you so much. Any other questions, Member Colbert? Okay, thank you. Member Desart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I noticed some duplications here, like the circuit clerk asking for 280,000 to scan paper files. And I thought that even under Chris Ketch-Rubas, they were already doing that over there at the clerk's office. So I'm not sure how this is a an ARPA item. Secondly, the sheriff's office mattress replacement, I agree, it's very important, but we already approved it. I don't recall under his budget or under the CARES Act money that we gave to him. So is this an additional $240,000 for more mattresses, or is this a double down? I'm not sure. So the bigger picture in my questioning is, as we discuss these packages, as we consider the allotments, do we have to take them as a package, or can we pull things out of each?
Absolutely. I mean,
item?
it's, everything in here is for this board's consideration.
Right.
If you want more investigation on pieces of it, I mean, this is your package to decide how you want to proceed.
Great, thank you. So
Absolutely.
what about the mattresses? Didn't we already
Mattresses have all been bought.
Right.
They did not end up being bought under CARES Act. They were bought under a combination, if I remember, of sheriff's budget of existing line items and general fund line items in order to get it lined out. It has been purchased. So this is a reimbursement that is fully reimbursable as part of ARPA. It's eligible.
Okay.
As far as a scanning question, you're right. Scanning has been going on in every department since the beginning of time but there is a backlog. There is a backlog, especially in Clerk Adams and especially in the state's attorney, that, I mean, we've got rooms of files that need to be scanned. And we have determined it is an eligible ARPA expense. And it is absolutely legal to fund that.
So everything in this package has been vetted as
Absolutely.
ARPA expenses. Okay,
Absolutely.
Thanks, Nick.
Well,
Appreciate it.
and so that the board realizes, there's a number of them that you're not even seeing that we pulled out, working with the electeds, working with department heads, some that were in that gray area. We wanted to make sure that we brought for your consideration, the most important ones for every department, every elected official.
Okay, thank you. Member Renahan, did you have a question?
Really more of a comment, and thank you, Nick, for this very long, comprehensive presentation. I know a lot of these things have been on a board for a very long time on your personal list. So we look at 77 million left. I mean, any idea what we can anticipate in terms of, the rest of our special calls?
Yes. So I sent off the health department presentation last night to all the members, 26.5 million, if I remember correctly. And once again, you're going to hear that from Executive Director Ayala. Is the 26.5 assumes no contributions from the state or the feds. Kind of a worst case scenario. Hopefully that she doesn't need all that. If COVID gets worse, she's going to need all that and more. It's my understanding from Choose DuPage, it's 7.5 million. Isn't that right? Is that 7.5 will be the request for consideration? It's my understanding from the Convention and Visitors Bureau that Beth will be presenting 15 million, I think, today. You have Mary Keating and her group. Cheryl, is that about 10 million? About 10 million. Those are all the ones that are planned for your consideration. I will tell you the other ones that we're talking about to bring before you, and the portal is a powerful instrument that we can maybe put other projects in there. The one that we've all been talking about that is not ready for this would be the animal services phase 2 expansion. Not even a small portion of that will be, maybe $1 million will be ARPA eligible, but they have money. We're looking to package something to bring for your consideration for that. They're going to pay for a big portion of it, but there is a portion that's ARPA eligible. That'll be going through the portal. And so we're already switching gears. Once we get through this, we're going to move on to those projects. I know the health department is looking at, they have a mental health facility receiving center that they received a huge state grant on, 4 or 5 million, I think, for over at our old youth home over there. And that absolutely some of that may be eligible for ARPA. We're looking at that as well. So we're looking at other options to bring for your consideration as we move forward. But I would expect in the portal, you're going to have probably in the neighborhood of say 20 to 30 million that's going to be in the portal eligible for people to apply to. And we will throw our projects against that as well for consideration. Hopefully at the end, COVID, Health Department's done an excellent job. Maybe we don't need any of the 18 million, and there's 18 million available for other projects at the end. So that's kind of what we have in the hopper per se.
So just one follow-up if I could. When will we start having these votes on these things? Is this going to be like a piecemeal or, sorry, go ahead.
Well, today we'd like to get a general consensus on what was presented today to have them move forward. So I think as they come forward, that will, we'll give the staff direction to move forward with those, similar to how we did the CARES Act.
So today, let's say there's nothing to vote on today. It's like general consensus. Yeah, if you're comfortable, or if you want to take stuff out, but there's always, this is simply the kind of appropriation guidance you're giving staff to move forward on these items, these initiatives. The actual item for approval still has to come before you. All these projects still have to come before you. If there's a serious concern on something, we can take it back, revisit it, remove it, however you would like to do it. But getting general direction, just like the CARES Act saying, yes, looks good, or looks good, except do this, would be very much appreciated, because it allows staff to move forward on any of the projects on here to move them to the next stage.
Thank you. Member Garcia, then Member Buchowski, Member Krajewski, Member Tornatori.
Okay, I'm going to make mine fast because I know we're running out of time.
Yeah, please.
Two questions really quickly. One, I'm actually going to, I think, throw this back to the Health and Human Services Committee. I did not know, because I've never had a chance to go through the care center, that the part of the building is not usable. So if I can get like a history of that and exactly why that is, that would be great. And then secondly, I've had a lot of people contact me, and I've had a lot of discussions with other entities, the park districts and the fire districts. And what exactly is the portal going to be open? Do we know that exactly?
Portal and the park districts, fire districts, even other communities, if they want to do matching, the portal is available to them. And as we are working to get the portal available, and before we open it, we want to, come before you, demo it. This is what we're looking for, so you guys understand. That was the August 24th, September 10th on the final slide for when we're hoping to open the portal.
Thank you. Member, are you done, Member Garcia? Okay, Member Buchowski, then Member Krajewski. Go ahead, Member Buchowski.
All of these millions of dollars of projects and requests are bound by our responsible bid ordinance, correct? So we'll have the trained workers for all of these jobs, because I'm excited that we're going to have, creating all these great jobs in DuPage County. I just want to make sure that is part of all of this, correct?
I'm very happy you brought that up, because a big part of the whole ARPA package is reporting, documenting, and everything. And one of the things that we will be able to do in spades is going to be number of hours, good quality trade jobs that we're going to create. Like I said, the care center was almost 200,000 hours just of trade jobs. Every single one of these projects, JLB, 421 HVAC, we've got to document all of that, what we're creating, what we're doing, and that's part of the reporting package we have to do for the federal government.
And that excites me, because I really thought that was a big part of this. If we have money under this, can we still get grant money on top of that? Or if you...
Absolutely. We are going to, our goal is to parlay this money just like what stormwater is doing. Parlaying this money, we're doing that. We know we're doing a stormwater. We know we're doing it with the care center project. That's absolutely a component.
So grant money's not precluded. We could still take money in American Reserve and go after whatever grants are available.
Without a doubt.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Member Buchowski, thanks so much for bringing that up, because that really is another beautiful thing about this ARPA money. Not only does it help the community, but it does provide really great jobs. So thank you for bringing that up. Member Krajewski, please.
Yeah, real quick, Nick, you had made a comment on one of these elected officials about we bought it out of their budget and general funds, and now it's ARPA eligible. And so we have that in a number of these elected officials. Will we get that during budget time? Because now they're going to get their money back in their budget, and then they can go use it for something else.
Keep in mind the mattress, we're talking about the mattress purchase.
Just in general, I just need in general, I'm just saying, I'd like to know when we come to our budgets that any of these ones that turned out to be ARPA eligible.
Absolutely.
And they already found the funds to get it out of their own budget. Now, they're going to get that money back in their budget, and they could spend it on something else. So I just want to know that. I don't need any more details. And then the second thing, revenue replacement, is the baseline 19?
It's a much bigger discussion, and we can get into that some other point. But long story short, there's like 3 or 4 different scenarios you can use for revenue replacement. However, what they count, different grants, different money that's provided from the state of Illinois counts against it. We're still trying to figure it out. All of the counties in Illinois are in the same boat because the state of Illinois provided money for transportation during this that appears to create an
Okay,
issue.
so sales tax is up, pull that one out. I guess income tax maybe is up, but let's like recording fees.
Yeah.
You know, some of our fees,
those
are down.
Absolutely.
And they're gonna be down.
Mhm.
Does that count as revenue
It's
replacement?
it's a big combination. You have to combine everything. So that, I mean, what you're, and I'd be happy to sit down with you or
Well, I
do it
think
in a session, but
my opinion, the first thing we should do is replace our revenue. Because if we replace our revenue, then, you know, we run out of surplus, that all goes into general fund and we can use it for anything.
And to your point, that's what the $18 million reserve, if we get better guidance from the treasury and we have better understanding, that's why we put the 18 million.
So the
That's
18
where we have
million is
that.
really a placeholder.
It's
for
a placeholder.
Revenue replacement is the big one there.
Whatever you guys, but that is a component if that's where we use it for. But you are absolutely correct. We did not want to give away revenue replacement. Everything is pointing to, we might not qualify, but if we do, we have the 18 million there.
Okay, qualify because we'll look at it as a big package versus
Yes.
like, because our fees on a lot of these, our fees are way down on everything. whether-
Absolutely.
And that doesn't count.
We've looked at it 10 different ways trying to figure it out, but we're hoping for more treasury
All
guidelines.
right, and the last thing, I may have missed it, but I saw in the presentation, I looked at the basement of the jail down there, that's not.
Jail B. Jail B, I mean, Jail B, we're not talking just HVAC, it's all of the components throughout.
So
So
it's that
the
whole-
component, and I will verify, that is absolutely part of it. That's part of Jail B.
Is that like moving forward quickly? Because you ever been down there?
It's moving forward.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I'm getting the signal that we have to wrap it up because we have to get to county board. But is there a general consensus by the finance committee to move forward with the county projects? Do we have a general consensus that might be something we want to see? Okay, I think that
Show of
gives you
hands,
that.
maybe.
Yeah, show of hands. Okay. Okay, thank you. And then is there a general consensus that we'd like to move forward with the county-wide requests? Yeah, show of hands. Okay, I think so. So great. So
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you so much. Do we have, moving on, thank you, Nick, for the great presentation. Do we have any old business? Any new business? I just want to make sure you guys come to our special call at 2:00. And then we do have a pre-budget workshop meeting on July 27th. So just keep that in mind. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by member Chavez, second by member Rutledge. All those in favor?